Husbands must love their wives. Wives must respect their husbands. Let me illustrate something, though. How does this play itself out? What would be an illustration of a woman feeling unloved? What would be an illustration of a husband feeling disrespected? Well, let's start with a woman. Suppose it's January 15th and she gets on the scales. And she looks down and she's put on 13 pounds. She comes to her husband and says, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe all the pounds I put on since all those Thanksgiving meals, all the Christmas parties, all the New Year celebrations. I can't believe it. I feel fat. I feel ugly. I have nothing to wear. Can't do anything with my hair. He's a sensitive guy. Trained in the 90s. He listens. He goes to the bookstore the next day and he comes in and the lead book right in the bookstore, Dieting for the Christian Woman. Every man makes this mistake once. The subtitle, Post-Holiday Menus. So he gets that book and brings it home. And he gives it to her. He thinks it's at Cape Canaveral. She goes ballistic. She goes right up. And as she's going up, she's screaming at him and pointing a finger. You men have two brains. You men have two brains. One's lost and the other's out looking for it. She calls him a brainless idiot. Now, what's going on? When she sees that diet book, her pink hearing aids go into dissonance. Her glasses fog over. And she hears a message coming through that diet book from him to her. And that message is this:
I do not accept you. I do not approve of you. I do not love you unless you look like a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
That's what she hears. That's what she hears. And she goes ballistic. She begins to feel, you don't love me unless. You'll only love me if. You'll only love me if I perform. That's what she hears. And she reacts negatively. In fact, when she feels unloved, she reacts in very disrespectful ways. In fact, what we're going to see is when he feels disrespected, he reacts in very unloving ways. But what's also interesting is that she brought a diet book home for him. She brings it to him and gives him a diet book. Hey, thanks. Hey, what's for dinner? And you see, when he looks at himself in the mirror, he can see Atlas there. He can bring Atlas out anytime he wants. May I suggest to you that body image issues are different between men and women? All the research points this out. We all are concerned about how we look, but I'm going to tell you that women are especially sensitive to appearance issues. Very sensitive. And what's even more interesting is that her best girlfriend came over with the diet book. Did you get that diet book? She says to her best girlfriend. Yes. Well, are you going to go on that diet? Do you want to do it together? Should we start Monday? You see, when Pink speaks through Pink megaphone, Pink hearing aids no go into dissonance. But when Blue speak, go through dissonance. And also, though, sometimes, Pink can speak through her Pink megaphones about a diet book, and Blue doesn't go into dissonance. You can't never kind of know when it's going to happen. So when she feels unloved, she reacts, though, in ways that feel very disrespectful to him. Her negative reaction is trying to send him a message. I feel unloved right now. Unfortunately, at a certain point, he no longer hears the deeper cry of her heart. He only hears, I don't respect you, Buster, any further than I can throw you. What are we going to do about that dilemma? Well, let's think of a couple weeks down the road, and she's in that bookstore, and the lead book, The Key to Marital Bliss, Communication. And she picks up that book and starts reading it, and she says, this is us, this is us. She buys it. That's the third marriage book this year she's purchased for the two of them to read. She brings it home, and she devours it from cover to cover, and she says, he needs to read this. But he's busy. He's busy. He's too busy really to read it from cover to cover. So I'm going to highlight in yellow some of the key sections for him. And then she puts it on a stand next to the chair that he sits in when he watches football. But she notices he doesn't pick it up. Why? Because this is the third marriage book. In that third marriage book, his blue hearing aids start going into dissonance. And he white knuckles it as he watches football. He knows it's there. He knows it's there. But he's thinking, first two marriage books we got huge fights. Huge fights. There's a third one. We're going to get a huge fight. If I say something, I'm in trouble. If I don't say something, I'm in trouble. But if I don't say anything, I'm in less trouble. So he stonewalls. He neglects it. Why? In his world as a male, he hears a message coming from her through the marriage book to him, which is this: I don't accept you. I don't approve of you. I don't respect you, Buster, unless you change right now. That's what he hears. Now, I'm not justifying that. He can be completely wrong. Hey, I'm not justifying the wife when she goes ballistic when he's trying to be helpful and gives her a diaper. He may not even be coming close to saying, I don't love you, unless. And she may not even be coming close saying, I don't respect you, unless. But what I am going to say is there's a tendency within the nature of the female to interpret diet books through pink. She videotapes her world through pink. And she sees pink, and she sees things that threaten pink. I'm not saying he's justified for feeling that way about the marriage book. What I'm going to say, he's a male created by God. Not wrong, just different. And he interprets marriage books through a different grid. He doesn't see this as increasing love. He sees it as another situation that's going to result in him losing respect. And what's interesting is if he brought home a marriage book to her, she would go, Did you find that marriage book for us? Do you want to read it? I mean, do you want to start tonight and just kind of go through it, the two of us, reading out loud to one another? And then she's going to be on the phone to all of her girlfriends, telling them that he brought home a marriage book. He got a marriage book. We're one. We're connected. We're soulmates. Why doesn't she get all bent out of shape? Because she filters a marriage book through a different color, through a different nature, called female. Why does he get all bent out of shape about the marriage book? And why not about the diet book? Because he's made male. Not wrong, just different. Fascinating. Powerful. But what's interesting is when he shuts down on that marriage book, when he refuses to read it, that stonewalling, that neglect, that silence at the level of intimacy in a woman's world screams, I don't love you. She would never do that. It's inconceivable. It's like fingernails down a chalkboard. How can you do this? You see, when he feels disrespected, unfortunately, he can begin to react in ways that feel hugely unloving to her. And I discovered something. I call it the love and respect connection. That without love, she reacts without respect. And without respect, he reacts without love. And then without love, she reacts without respect. And without respect, he reacts without love. And without love, she reacts without respect. And this baby starts to spin, and it gets crazy.